how have things changed since you started? Maybe challenges and opportunities?
Well, when we started, nobody cared about anime voice actors. I mean, just to be honest about it. I mean, I don't mean to, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus or expressing any kind of negativity. I just mean literally, we were the low man on the totem pole. We were the last kind of piece of the puzzle in terms of getting an anime title out. You just did an English dub because you could, and why not? And it was assumed that a lot of people would just watch the subs anyway, but it was like, well, we could just do a dub, and that would be fun. And then, but even then, I remember thinking, these dubs that we're putting out are pretty good. Like, I'm watching it and I'm thinking, well, obviously, because a lot of my colleagues and myself, we came out of the theater. We having done a lot of theater, and including a lot of children's theater, by the way, which is kind of it's not something some actors think about, but you really learn to play and use your imagination in those settings. So ADV was putting out, I think, really high quality dubs, starting in like roughly the late '90s and early aughts, but we were still just kind of local actors that were being hired, and we just thought of it as kind of gig work. It was sort of slightly better money than we would make waiting tables, probably equivalent to what we would have made bartending, and the kind of work that you put into this. So it was kind of like, this is a decent little side gig for someone who's pursuing other kinds of acting. And there weren't many of us. And if you listen to those early dubs, it almost feels like there's a company of actors, because you hear a lot of the same actors in the different dubs. And even within the same dub, you would get called in, and I would maybe do the main character, but then I would also be doing like shopkeeper number 4 or radio announcer number 2. And you're doing a lot of other, and you're doing the walla. So it's like, oh yeah, also we've got to do some walla sessions. So that was all built in. You would work on a show and you would do a main character, but then you were also 2 or 3, you were in 2 or 3 other places in that show.
When I was in grammar school, I was the voice of Mikado in one of Gilbert and Sullivan's things, but that was pretty much it. If I could just have a moment to digress, I'd like to comment on 2 things about the movie that we have not talked about yet. One is that, we have a lot of environmental things going on in the world, and not just in the United States, but the world, and there are activists and so forth. I'd just like to point out that Disney was basically just about the first environmentalist to come along, and he kind of started the movement. You think about the movie, man and his campfires and his guns did not come out as the top, nicest person in the world. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people who aren't the nicest people in the world. But and the movie itself was the fire scene and so forth. To me, that's the scariest part of the movie and the most dramatic. The other thing I'd like to mention about the movie that I think a lot of people don't pay attention to, and that is the background art. The art was done by a Japanese-American artist, Tyrus Wong, and who unfortunately is now long gone, but his surrealist art, if you see the movie again, just focus on that background art, because it's separate from, it moves separately from the movie itself.
They would giggle as I would open the script, because they know they were good. Whenever they were going to make me rap, which I should never be rapping. No, I shouldn't even rap paper, let alone. And any actually popular music at all. I have little to no knowledge
You
of it.
have rhythm, but it's like 1950s Broadway rhythm, where it's like,
Yeah, like how a washboard player has rhythm. It's not like a modern, you know. I have rhythmic sensibilities, but like they would always like I remember doing that.
there ain't
farmer.
nothing like a dame.
Yeah, I remember doing that.
That's
Farmer
rhythm.
Belt
There's rhythm in
episode,
that.
And like, I didn't know what foreigner was. They're like, yeah, it's cold as ice. I'm like, was that? Like, it's
Yeah,
a
he doesn't know any music after 1952, right?
I'm growing. I know the Beatles now. That's oh yeah, there she is. She's covering it up. But like, yeah, I mean, we were at the smokehouse one night, and I think you were maybe there. But Brian, my friend Brian, was trying to explain like he doesn't know. He couldn't name you 10 Beatles songs.
Yeah, you
And the guy's like, bullshit. And I'm like, put $100. He was gonna give me $200 so I could name 10 Beatles songs. I think I got to 7 or 6. I knew like the 50s ones. You know, like the like real old school, like the Love Me Do, or you know, those like whatever, like where they were all like in the same suits before they all went crazy.
We're like close to almost 100 years old.
The best band ever made.
The Beatles are literally going to be like 100 years old soon.
Yeah.
It's in history.
Wait a minute.
History.
That's not correct.
Right? Collectively.
In all the shows that we get a chance to go to, let me share this with you. The folks like you that want to go to see fresh, happy things and have a smile in your heart, have some fun without it being one of the many negatives in the world today, are special to us. You're special to me, okay? I even wrote in my journal not long ago, if I ever see somebody in one of these shows like you, walking by with a frown, I'm going to call the psychiatrist and pick him up. This is a smile group. Thanks for coming.
Welcome to Tacky, getting the way pumped, gonna get your ass beat, nasty. Do it to your dad, the bad